Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Allison Schmidt, and I'm the Assistant Director of Alumni Engagement on the Long Island campus for St. Joseph's College. I want to welcome you all today to SJC Student-Alumni Conversations featuring the Long Island Honors Program. I would now like to introduce two present SJC faculty members who both teach in the Honors Program. Professor Turgeon is currently the chair of the Department of Philosophy, where she specializes in philosophy for children and the history of philosophy. Professor Blakeley is the chair of the history department, and his areas of interest include late medieval and early modern Europe. Welcome to Professors Turgeon and Blakeley. I invite them to take over from here as they will ask our alumni to introduce themselves.
Welcome anyone who has joined us today. I wanted to point out that, especially for our alumni, if you're looking at the pictures that just flew by, half of them were in Brooklyn and half of them were on Long Island. So if you're looking at the Long Island campus, you can't see New York City skyscape from here, just FYI. I wanted to particularly welcome Alexa Marinos and Rachel Sullivan, who are two of our outstanding graduates from the Honors Program, and start with a question for each of them, perhaps. What do you remember most about the Honors Program? Alexa, maybe you go first.
Sure. I think that the thing that I probably remember most was the trip that we took, of course. That's going to be, something, I still talk about it to this day. But also the classes that we took. I believe it was 3 classes that we took my year. They were all a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed them.
Rachel, what about you?
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. For me, I would say yes, the trip obviously was outstanding, and nothing really beats getting kissed on the nose by a baby lamb in Ireland. But probably my best memories are just kind of the simple moments in class and with my professors, because I remember I was in late elementary school the first time that I read Les Mis, and I remember standing in my library at home reading the section about the jostlings of young minds against each other. And I just thought that sounds so exhilarating. And the first time that I really found that for myself was in the Honors Program, between having students who were really like-minded around me, who would talk about these things outside of class and really go in depth, and professors who were willing to, really go in depth in class, outside of class, foster curiosity, and present information on a deeper level in also really interesting and creative ways. Like I remember in my capstone class, even for honors, for the Ireland trip, we did a whole lesson on Irish history through music, and it was so unique and just really helped you connect with the place, and for me also my own heritage. So all of those times of just feeling like I was blossoming in all of those classes and with people that meant so much to me. That's always what I think of when I think of honors.
Well, that's wonderful, both of you. Thank you. Wanted to point out for our watchers and listeners that the Honors Program is a freshman sophomore year experience on the Long Island campus. And we have a capstone course that in the fall of your sophomore year, your second year, where the topic is our trip destination. And one of the most cherished, as you can see, events in the Honors Program is the end of sophomore year or spring break in sophomore year, where we go as a cohort group to some place. Usually it's been in Europe. We've gone to Ireland, we've gone to Iceland, we've gone to Greece a number of times, some other locations, Poland, yes, Poland, and the Czech Republic, which was a really interesting one. So it's been it is one of the highlights. The college has been very gracious in sponsoring half the cost of the trip. We hope to continue that. Obviously, the last 2 years we have not been able to travel, but we are very excited we're planning on traveling in 2022 and hopefully get back in the swing of this. So now I'd like to ask my colleague, James Blakeley, to perhaps ask a question of our panelists.
Great. Before we go too much further, I was wondering if Rachel and Alexa, you would tell us what your major was and when you graduated and what you're doing now, and if you can connect what you're doing now to your honors experience.
Sure. So I went to St. Joseph's. I got a biology degree and a minor in environmental studies. I currently now am working as an environmental GIS analyst at the town of Babylon. in their environmental department, obviously. I actually started working there. I was interning my senior year of college, and they hired me on full time, and I've been there ever since. A lot of times I feel like you wouldn't think like a biology, a science person, right? I took a class called Cinema in the City. I took, the Ancient Era and analytical writing. Those are my 3 honors courses. How am I going to connect that to biology, obviously, or environmental studies or anything? But something that I have learned through the honors program, as well as through my work, is that environmental issues are not just a science issue, it's an all-around issue. So being able to connect to like cinema and to, ancient Greece and stuff like that, it was really important to connect all of it, I've learned.
I graduated in May of 2020. I was a psychology and philosophy and religious studies major with a minor in mindfulness and a certificate in industrial organizational psychology. For me, the path is a bit, obvious with my honors courses. I'm in graduate school or starting graduate school for a history of philosophy East and West program. And then hopefully from there onto a PhD. I'm back working at SJC, which was the dream. And I would say, like I said, for me, the love of philosophy was very clear from the beginning of ethics in the honors program and medieval history and philosophy in the honors program. But all of my other classes also taught me a few important things. One of them was just that I was more capable and independent than I thought I was. I feel like for a lot of honors students entering the first time, you're worried about, keeping my grades up with more work. And I learned to just really genuinely say every course, even if it's not related to my major, it will teach me something incredible that either will relate to my major, or even if it doesn't, it will change the way that I see the world and interact with the world. And that is valuable in itself. So being able to actually kind of let go of just, I need to, be straight A's and everything, and really learn to just enjoy the courses for what they were. And it ended up kind of working itself out, because since I was doing it with love, it didn't feel like I was working, and I did well because I loved it all. And that's something that I think is an important lesson for everybody to learn. Like if you do it with love, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, it certainly is a wonderful lesson. What's the saying that if you love what you do, you never work another day in your life, which sounds so trite, but honestly, it's really true. So both of you highlighted courses that weren't necessarily in your major, what you thought you were going to major in, but you found very enlightening, fulfilling, and actually exciting to take. What about the other students in the honors program? Have you kept up with any of them? Maybe we'll start with Rachel this time, then go to Alexa. Just mix it up a bit.
We've kept up a little. A lot of people did stay on, their paths as far as majors and everything, but A, having each other was a huge help all through college. And B, I think all of the classes, they were a bonding experience going through it all together. And like I said, being able to explore in philosophy, all these things together and discuss whether it's your major or not, it really does help you bond with people. And I think it helps you feel like you're where you belong when you're able to have those conversations with your friends at Common Hour. So I think they all affected all of us in our own ways.
Yeah, 2 of my best friends, I graduated in 2018, I forgot to say that. 2 of my best friends, Christine and Thomas, I still talk to them almost every day. We, keep up with each other give each other kind of an update on what's going on in life. And they were 2 of the first people that I met in the honors program. And still to this day, they're my 2 best friends.
My sister is actually getting married next spring, and a lot of girls from her honors group are in her bridal party, actually.
Sweet. Congratulations to her, by the way.
Thank you. I'll let her know.
James, maybe you have another follow-up question.
Yeah, I was wondering, what advice would you give to incoming freshmen about how to navigate, if they're going to be if they're an honor student, you have that built-in cohort, that you kind of travel from different classes with, so you already have like a built-in group of people you get to know. So that's really great when you come into college to have that already set up. And what advice would you give to students who are coming in, maybe either as honors students or not?
Well, my advice actually would kind of go back to that, do all things with love. Like I said, when I first started college, I don't think I was really involved at all my first semester of freshman year, because I was just so focused on like, I need the A's, I want to graduate with a 4.0 right from the beginning. And, it's funny, I didn't notice it as it was happening, but it kind of eventually hit me. I started, getting involved on campus and taking classes just because I was interested. Like, even if it seems like, oh, it won't be, an easy A to offset the workload, just because it was like, I think this is so interesting and it will be hard, but it fascinates me. All of a sudden I realized, I was like, if there was a semester that I didn't get the 4.0, I don't think it would have killed me, because it was so valuable to open up myself to so many different experiences that taught me their own lessons, as far as service and, leadership and thinking about things that I never thought about before. So my advice would be, keep an open mind, I guess, for everything, and immerse yourself as much as possible. I was here from 7 in the morning to almost 8 at night, almost every day straight, doing research on campus activities board, orientation team, my classes. Just take advantage of it all, because everything will help you grow so much.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything that Rachel said. Also, like she said, take those classes that you're interested in, even if it doesn't seem like an easy A or anything. Honestly, that's how I found out that I wanted to go into environmental science. I started the whole my whole college experience thinking I was going to be a doctor, a cardiologist. And then I took one environmental class and I was like, that's it. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Yeah. And also take classes that, aren't in your major, because especially in my experience, I was bogged down with a lot of science and a lot of math. And then having that like philosophy course on the side was a really nice break from that. And also, it's so important to be so well-rounded in everything, and make sure that you kind of, take that chance and take a class. You might love it.
Yeah, I think all of that was great, and I absolutely agree. And going off of that as well, I think those classes that are outside of your major, they are a welcome break. And they also do just enrich your quality of life going forward. You never know what class, like for me, I always go back to philosophy, but that will completely change the way that you see and interact with the world, or maybe a politics class, or maybe history, depending on what resonates with you, but they will improve the quality of your life and how you interact with the world for the rest of your life. So I know it's really tempting to get hung up on your major because, you think that's what you love, and, you're worried about getting all your coursework done and everything, but everything has a really deep value. And if you go in with that mindset and open yourself up, all of a sudden your experience across the board gets better.
Can I just jump in and say that both of you gave, that's really good advice. I know that a lot of students come to the college with a set idea about what they're going to do and which major they have in mind. And like you were saying, Rachel, it's all about the 4 points. And then you start to realize that you start to take classes just because they sound interesting, and you fall in love with something else and you really discover yourself. So that's really good advice. I try to tell students, don't pick a major until for a while, just let yourself enjoy the first semester.
Yes, all 3 of my children changed their majors from what they went in being sure they wanted to do this. They ended up in a completely different field through just taking a course. So I want to, I had a thought in my head. Where was I going with it? Now I just lost it. Oh my goodness. There's something important. I just wanted to highlight general information for our viewers and listeners. The honors program, you take 2 to 3 common courses in your honors cohort, but you also take other courses as well. So it's not like you only see the honor students. You actually get to meet a wide swatch of students, but at least 2 to 3 of your freshman year fall courses and spring courses are with the same group, which does have a kind of built-in security net and just kind of automatic opportunities to make friends. And both of you highlighted the fact that even after 4 years, I still see honor students from freshman year kind of getting together as friendships. And I think that's very important. So it's not your entire freshman year program, but it is, and they're all core courses. That's the other thing I wanted to highlight. These are courses you'd probably be taking anyway. They're not in addition to other courses. We choose them for both their variety so that you do get to kind of tip your toe into some new areas of interest, perhaps spark a new major, spark a new love, as so eloquently described by our visitors. But they also are not AP courses, which means that you're not getting gypped, if you will, from your AP credits. So we have philosophy, we have speech, which is a required course for many, many different majors. We have some specialized history courses, but not the general history courses. So we make sure we pick courses that fit into your schedule, move you forward without any delay in that respect. So what advice would you like to talk about? What aspect of your experiences would you each like to talk about in terms of the honors? So we're hoping we have some prospective freshmen watching or other students who might just be kind of curious, what is life like at St. Joseph's?
Well, I would say, especially for the prospective students, because I know I worked also with incoming freshmen in the honors program for 2 years. So I know this always came up. Everyone worries about the work and is it more work to be in the honors program and is it overwhelming and can I keep my grades up? And yes, absolutely, you can keep your grades up and the work isn't as bad as you think. For me, I noticed that, coming in from high school, there are difficult assignments and everything. It's college and honors, but you lost all of the busy work that you get in high school, like the 20 question, guided reading, write 3 pages on each question every night, between the pacing of college and just that the assignments you're given will always be meaningful and you'll always have at least a few days, heads up before it's due because of the spacing of the classes. The work is manageable. And yes, because it's honors, it's going to be a little bit more difficult and the expectation is going to be a little higher, but you're having more in-depth discussions of the material along the way. So it kind of balances out and it is absolutely worth that little bit of extra work and that more in-depth discussion. So it doesn't just feel manageable, you feel fulfilled by the end of it. So I think it's absolutely worth doing for a student who is truly interested in learning and going a little bit deeper, because this is the space to explore all of those things about those topics for you.
Yeah, 100% what Rachel said. I had a thought and I lost it. I'm sorry.
Well, I know bio majors have a particularly challenging first year. And their honors program is slightly different to accommodate all the labs that they have to do. So maybe you could kind of focus on prospective science majors.
Oh yeah, so your first year is, as a bio major is probably, I'm sorry about the dogs, probably one of the hardest, because they're testing you, they want to see if you're gonna make it, sort of thing. But worth it. I had a great experience in the bio program and also having the honors program. I felt like, it gave you that sort of, the push to like really schedule yourself and organize yourself and make sure that you were on top of all of your stuff, which became so important, even to this day. I mean, at work right now, I'm working on like 4 different projects and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and sitting down and being able to make that schedule and figuring out how to organize it is something that I did learn through the honors program, because, when you first start, you're not expecting, you expect it to be harder, like Rachel said, but, it's not as hard. It's more of getting yourself into it. Yeah, it really helps.
program is also great as far as, like Dr. Turgeon said, you know, you're filling core requirements anyway, so you need it. It helps keep you on track, you know, and keep you from, oh, I'm going to load up on all my major classes first. You know, it gives you a chance to adjust to the college, to adjust to different subjects, to adjust to what is writing a research paper in college like, because it is a little different from high school. So it's a great tool for your adjustment period to kind of help you ease into everything without overloading yourself, or then, you know, you had things and you didn't realize there was a prerequisite and there are scheduling issues. This kind of helps keep you on that track.
That's great. So I've been on a lot of, and it's always been so much fun. We've gone to so many interesting places with the honors trips. I've been to places I would never have gone unless I was going with students through SJC. And now I kind of advertise it to my students, make use of the overseas study opportunities that the college has, because they'll really change, they're really life-changing experiences. I've been to Oxford with Professor Turgeon, and she gave the list before, Poland and Greece, and every time there are always students who tell me just how transformative it really was to see different people, even if it's a short-term trip. It's not like we're gone for a whole semester. Even 2 weeks or a week really opens your eyes to something new about the world and something new about yourself too. You kind of realize, hey, I can get along in a foreign country without all of the things I'm used to at home. Can you guys talk about your trip overseas and with the rest of the honor students, and where you went and what you gained from it? Not just the academic stuff that you studied ahead of going on the trip, but just the whole experience.
Absolutely. So my honors trip was to Ireland. And it was actually really interesting because for me, the short-term study abroads ended up being the perfect choice because I could never be away from my mom and my dogs for a whole semester. But the honors trip, you know, I was really excited about Ireland, but I had never even been to sleepaway camp before. I've never been away without my family. I had never been on a plane because my mom can't fly. So Ireland seemed like a really big and pretty intimidating step. And I was like, well, this is nice. And then, you know, I've had my travel experience, that's the end. So when I was going to Ireland, I actually also had some stuff going on in my personal life. And I was like, oh, like, this isn't a great time to leave. Like, I'm not in great shape. But as soon as I went, that trip taught me that I was so much more independent and capable than I thought I was. And I had a real chance to reflect there. You know, I think part of it was, you know, just the country is beautiful and the different relationship it has with nature. You know, there was so much to learn there. But I remember we were in Connemara Park and it was so silent. It was, my friends and I just stopped and it was just so quiet and beautiful. And, you know, with being able to, we had kind of the structured activities, which were great because we got a great taste kind of across the board of everything all those places had to offer. But then we did have times that we were navigating things, you know, by ourselves because, oh, we were interested in this. I remember we spent a whole day in Dublin book shopping. Pretty much we just found all these independent little bookshops and we would stop in each one. And I caught the travel bug that I was never expecting to have. And by a few months later, I had signed up for the Oxford experience for the next year. And I figured with that one, it was a little less because the school didn't subsidize it quite as much. So we had to book our own flights. I was like, you know what? While I'm in Europe, if I'm paying for a ticket, I ended up backpacking around Croatia and Montenegro and Bosnia, which I never would have thought, I never would have even dreamed of that before Ireland. But once I came back, it just seemed so natural, like, of course I'm going to travel and of course I can do it. And I'm so glad I did because all of those experiences were so enlightening. Like you said, Dr. Blakeley, not just academically or, you know, learning about kind of the culture and the history, but also learning about yourself and what you can do and what you love. And, you know, it's one of those things I will never regret having spent time or money on those.
What about you, Alexa?
Sorry about the dogs were barking. Won't leave me alone. This has been my whole work from home. So I went to Greece with the honors program, and it was probably one of the best experiences of my life. We went to, you know, I have a little bit of Greek in me, and I remember our tour guide was amazing. She stayed with us for so long, and she took us everywhere. That was great. We went to, you know, we went to see the Acropolis, and we went to Aegina, the island, and they were known for pistachios, and I brought home pistachios. And just like even going to the museums and really learning about, you know, I mean, Greece's history is amazing in itself, and then also having, you know, a little bit in me, it was really, really nice to be able to kind of go back to where my family is from, and you know, see what went on there. I always had, you know, a special place in my heart for Greece from when I was little, reading Greek mythology to, you know, even today. And it just seemed kind of amazing that it happened to be the place that we went to for the honors trip. I still talk about it with my two best friends, Christine and Thomas. We still talk about, you know, all the stuff that we did. I actually turned 20 in Greece during that trip. That was my birthday, so that was really fun. You know, my friends decorated the hotel room, and, you know, we made like really deep connections with all the other people because, you know, after we were done with the museums or whatever, we got to go explore. So one day you know, a stray dog followed us the whole day and ended up taking us to a church. Like, we followed it to a church one day. And, you know, we got to see such amazing things just kind of going around and figuring it out, which is something that I never thought I would do in my life. Just kind of explore a foreign country with a bunch of friends. And yeah, it was probably the best experience that I've had.
Well, thank you both. Both of those are wonderful places to visit. And we often have students with heritage from various places in Europe. And I think it's especially, it's a wonderful warm connection to go there, even if you don't speak a stitch of the language, but just feel that you can kind of sense your ancestors having been there in some way or another. So that's wonderful. We always go either during spring break, which is a wonderful time to go to a place like Ireland, everything's in bloom, or at the very end of the semester after finals are over, which is a wonderful time to go to Greece. And both Professor Blakeley and I hold Greece especially dear to our hearts. It's just historically and philosophically, of course, it's the mothership, if you will. But we've gone to Iceland, which was an amazing trip, especially from an ecological, biological perspective. We've gone to Paris. Professor Blakeley went to Italy with some honor students with one of our business professors as part of the honors trip. So, you know, and of course, we had both gone to Prague and Krakow, Czech Republic, and in Poland, which was particularly moving experience because not only did we get to experience the history of Eastern Europe, but we also visited Auschwitz, which was a firsthand experience that I'm not going to say we all loved, but that was so powerfully meaningful that I remember it distinctly to this day. And I'd like to echo both of your comments that you never regret traveling. You know, you might regret spending X amount of money on that new phone, but you'll never regret. No one says, I'm sorry I went to Paris. No one. So, and we have so many different short-term programs, as Professor Blakeley alluded to, so that you can connect it to a course. You can actually study for a summer session over there if you want to get proficient in Spanish or other languages. There's lots of opportunities, and our Global Studies office will work with you if you'd like to do a semester abroad too. So we have everything from a week to a full semester, and those are really enriching opportunities that I think our students, once you've done it once, you want to do it again. So I hope you both get a chance. You
reminded me of that trip that I went on with students to Italy, and we had been talking before about how close-knit the cohort of honor students becomes. Well, two of those students, I think, got married last year or were planning to last year before the pandemic struck. So that was I always thought of the two of them. Talk about a close a close-knit group from that.
But again, the trip is optional. Not everyone chooses to go on the trip for all sorts of various reasons, from financial to just personal, or I know one person, their sister was getting married during the time, and for some bizarre reason, they decided to go to their sister's wedding instead of the trip. I don't understand it, but so it's not required. You're part of the honors program as long as you complete the capstone course. And then of course, we hope you stay in touch and you keep together both socially but also academically, but we also recognize that once you get into the majors, your schedules get very tight and it's almost impossible to say, hey, I want everybody to take a particular course. So I wonder if our alumni representative would like to ask any questions of our panelists today.
Sure. I actually have a question. I think these trips are fascinating to me, and where I went for undergrad, I was in an honors program as well, and the relationships that I built going abroad to Italy and England were just fabulous. So I'm curious to know how, I know you go to a different location every year, so maybe this is more towards Professor Turgeon and Professor Blakeley. How do you decide where you're going each year? I know there's a lot of planning involved, so I'm sure you're thinking, you know, years out, but curious to know how that process happens.
Well, we like to pick a site in Europe because most of our students, our Long Island students, really haven't traveled that much, but many of them have connections there. It's also a reasonable flight. While we might all say, let's go to Australia, that's a 2-day trip right there. And if you only have a week to 9 days, you don't want to spend it in an airplane. So we pick sites that are reasonable amount of time to get to. And then secondly, we do think of cost. So when you pay for the trip, it pretty much covers everything except, you know, what you would want to purchase yourself and the food that you choose to eat on your own. But we try to, it covers the hotels, the airfare, everything for the honors trip. And we want to make it as affordable as we possibly can. So that sometimes affects the sites we can go to. And of course, now in recent times, obviously safety is high on the list. And we're not going this May because it's just not safe, even though some European countries are beginning to open, but we couldn't plan for it. But I think by 2022, I'm optimistic that Europe will be open for visitors and we will all be ready to get in that airplane and go exploring. So it's a process of choosing. And we also, as I repeat sites, and we've gone to a couple of them, we learn things. So we vary the next trip because we have some experience. So it's not that we're always trying to go to a different place for ourselves. We're trying to create a really positive, enriching experience for our students.
Yeah, I would
Likely, go ahead.
say I think that's true too. It's not because we've been a few times, we have come to know the places that we stay in, say Greece, or when we've taken students to Rome. We look at cost, and also that there's something for the students to enjoy and do that's not just strictly academically oriented, that there are cultural things to do, that it's safe for students. Both Professor Turgeon and I are big believers in letting the students have their own free time, that it's not all scripted out moment by moment, so that it's a safe place where students can feel comfortable enough to go strike out on their own, see new things, and bring stories back at the end of the day to share with the rest of the group. So that's always in our mind too. And places like Greece and Italy, they're far more, or mainly Greece, are more reasonably priced than say Paris or Germany.
That's great. Thank you. I want to invite any of our viewers, if you have any questions, feel free to submit them in the Q&A box. But I have one more question that I'd like to ask to our alumni panelists. So this event is actually happening during the class of 2021 celebration. So we're honoring our seniors this week. And I was just curious to know if either of you have any general advice to give to our seniors for life after college. Is there anything you wish you knew before you left St. Joe's? We can start with Alexa on this one.
Sure. Well, one thing that actually I was talking to a friend of mine before about doing this, and he was like, you got to say, the more you learn, the more you earn. I'm currently I'm in a master's program right now. I'm about a year into it because, you know, I have my bachelor's degree. I'm in the environmental field. I keep applying to other places, but they want the master's degree. You know, so never stop learning. You're never going to stop learning. You know, I've learned so much in my job itself. You know, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions either, because that was an issue that I had personally. You know, like, oh, I'll figure it out. I shouldn't ask the question. It'll make me look stupid. No, ask the question because you wanna learn, you know? Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else.
That's awesome. That's really good advice. There's never a stupid question. So I think that's important. Go ahead, Rachel.
Well, as I mentioned, I graduated in 2020. So I know that especially graduating right now, things seem very uncertain and intimidating and overwhelming. But I hope people, you know, start to reflect on that you're more well prepared than you even think coming out as a graduate of St. Joe's, academically and personally, you know, between fostering all the curiosity here and asking those questions and having professors willing to help you and all of your extracurriculars, you're really taught how to live a life of joy and purpose and meaning. I feel very lucky that, you know, I think St. Joe's really prepared me for a meaningful life and career, even though it's still early for me. I've only been out of college for less than a year. You know, if you really hold on to those lessons, things have a way of working out.
I see we have a question, and yes, it's absolutely possible to play sports as part of the honors program. Many of our honors program students are actively engaged in fall sports, spring sports, you name it. So it absolutely is possible. And other clubs as well. There's so many, there's like hundreds of clubs and campus activities that you can get involved in. And there is absolutely plenty of time to do that. And we encourage students to get involved in the life. You may not be living on campus in a dorm room. The good news is you don't end up with a weird roommate, right? You know who your roommates are now. But the other good news is that there's plenty to do on campus, and it really is a vibrant college community, as I think both our speakers have said. If anyone else has some questions.
Well, if not, I'm actually going to share my screen and do a demonstration of how the honors program can continue life after St. Joe's. I'm just going to share my screen. So this is a virtual platform that the Office of Alumni Engagement has launched called SJC&Connect. So it's open to all alumni, all faculty, all staff, and we have started launching it to our class of 2021, and we will be launching it to our class of 2022 very shortly. But this is what SJC&Connect would look like on the home screen when you open it. We have a news feed right here in the middle where we post events that are coming up, different SJC&Y on-campus articles, call to actions for our alumni to get involved in, different things like that. And then on the right side, we have what we call widgets. So you can see here we have, you know, our social media, we have a video vault, some virtual Zoom backgrounds our alumni can use. And then going back up to the top, we have a job board, which is, you know, really important for our young alumni these days, which is actually integrated with Handshake. And all students have an account with Handshake through the Office of Career Preparation and Professional Development. Then we have our directory here. So all of the users on the platform are housed in the directory. And if you toggle over to the right side of the screen, you'll see our mentors. So these are all the people that have offered to help students and young alumni with mentoring advice, informational interviews, to meet virtually for coffee and talk a little bit about their work experience. And I'd highly encourage, you know, our students and young alumni to really get involved with the mentoring program and learn from some of our accomplished alumni right here. Then, like I said, the jobs, so you can look more in depth here. But we also have our alumni posting jobs as well. So this is something recent that just came up. We heard from a friend of the college who's interested in hiring SJC students to be lifeguards and pool attendants this summer. So you can see they were able to post the job right here in this feature. We have a photo album, where we just post pictures of events that we've had in person in the past. So hopefully we will be back to doing that again soon. And then we also have a group feature as well. So we really would love to start a Long Island Honors Program group and have our Honors Program alumni housed within that, as well as our Honors Program students and faculty. So this is where that would happen right here. And like I said, we're really hoping to get that off the ground. And it would be a great place for, everyone in that community to be able to, continually communicate. It doesn't have to just be in the classroom. It extends to, this virtual platform right here. And then we have our events listing. And just lastly, a resources page. So there's more information about the mentoring program, which I talked about, but we also have our digital yearbooks on here, a video vault, our digital magazine, and just some information about the alumni grant application. That is Sjcnyconnect. I do know that Rachel's on it, but we'd love to see, Professor Turgeon, Professor Blakeley, Alexa, and some of our attendees to get on that as well. So it looks like we don't have any more questions in the chat. So I'm gonna wrap up the event. So I just want to thank you, Professor Turgeon, Professor Blakeley, and our amazing alumni speakers, Alexa and Rachel. You both really shared some fantastic memories and gave some great advice to our students. To our attendees, I want to thank you all for your time today. And just please be on the lookout for a follow-up email that will contain links to SJCNY-Connect and our upcoming events. I hope to see many of you in the future and enjoy the rest of your day today.
I just wanted to add that if we have any prospective students that would like to visit campus, even though it's pretty quiet there, you are more than welcome. And if you would like to visit one of our classes, which we are currently teaching via Zoom, let us know that. Tell the admissions, because they can arrange to, you could at least sit in. Not quite as much fun as going into a classroom, but at least it would give you a sense of what conversation is like in our honors classes. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks for offering that, Professor Turgeon.
And also, I mean, I've had students in the past, or, prospective students who reached out to me later with questions. My email and everything is always open to everybody. It's on the SJC site, and I'm always happy to talk about St. Joe's.
There is a question about are most classes online or in person? Beginning in the fall, we plan on being back on campus. This semester, for safety, health reasons, we have a lot of courses have been via the Zoom platform. But in the fall, we are all very excited to be seeing real people in real time on campus.
All right. Well, thank you all once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.